Hello, my beautiful friends. I hope you're really, really well. Today, I'm going to explain to you the mechanics of imposter syndrome. By the end of this video, I really want you to know and understand what actually imposter syndrome is, how it works, and why it feels so intense when we are in it. And if you're curious to hear my personal story, you can listen to my video from last week where I shared my story, my own story of living with very intense imposter syndrome. So let's go. To give today's video a little bit more tangible content, let me use an example that is very common and you might relate to it. So let's say that you are preparing to present in front of a senior management and you're ready. You've got all the information, the ideas, you have prepared a beautiful deck, and you know exactly what you want to say. But as the meeting's getting closer, you start to feel this intense feeling in your body. It's a dread that you start feeling, almost a panic, anxiousness. Suddenly you start questioning yourself, right? The inner critic start doing, its usual thing. Who am I to be presenting in here? What if I mess up? People will laugh at me, and so on and so forth. And even though you're prepared, it feels like it's taking everything that you have just to get the words out when you are in the meeting. And then after the meeting, you feel completely drained and exhausted. And again, I speak about my experience with this exhaustion in my last week's video. So this is a classic experience of imposter syndrome. Now, an important part to realize when we're working on overcoming imposter syndrome is that it's not just a matter of our thoughts, not just the mindset. And this is where people very often trip up because we often only focus on our mindset and the inner critic in our head. But imagine an iceberg. The tip of the iceberg above the water represents our conscious mind, the part that we are aware of. But below the surface, there is this huge part that we don't see, and that's our subconscious mind. And this is where imposter syndrome really lives. In that subconscious part, we hold memories, emotions, and beliefs, often from our early life, that have shaped how we see ourselves, that have shaped our identity. And these memories get stored in the background of our mind and can create limiting beliefs like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not as good as others, for example. So when you step into high stakes situations like presenting to senior management, your subconscious mind might react as if there is a real threat based on that past memory, past experience that is stored in our subconscious mind. Even if logically, you know that you have prepared and logically there is nothing really happening, no threat out there. For our subconscious mind, though, it's a different situation. This is why in moments like these, imposter syndrome doesn't just stay in our head. You feel it in your body, right? If you experience imposter syndrome, you know that you very often feel tight, you feel tension, racing heart. Again, in the video last week, I said I used to have red rashes on my neck, on my chest. You might feel sick in your stomach. So it's your body talking to you. It's your subconscious mind talking to you through your body. That's because your subconscious mind is trying to protect you. It's sending signals to hold you back from what it perceives as a risky situation. And of course, there is no risky situation. It's just a bunch of people sitting in the meeting room. That's what we consciously perceive, right? And we can talk ourselves up into, you should be braver and you should be, you shouldn't be having these problems. But it is a risky situation for our subconscious mind because it is recalling that past memory. And what's trying to do, it's trying to hold you back from reliving that experience and from feeling like you felt in that memory when you were maybe a child or a teenager or a young person. And so imposter syndrome is this conflict between a conscious mind that wants you to speak up. As an adult person, you want to talk, you have got the presentation ready, but your subconscious mind is holding you back because it thinks there is a danger out there. And again, this is very important. It's trying to protect you from feeling like you felt at some point in your past. And so consciously you want to, but subconsciously you are being held back. And there is this pull and push. And that's why we need to put so much energy into actually speaking out, because our subconscious mind is doing its level best to try to hold us back. And so this conflict is the actual imposter syndrome. And so if we want to move past imposter syndrome, we have to connect with this deeper part of the mind, this part of the iceberg that is below the surface. And we need to gently shift those old beliefs and communicate with the body so that it feels safe enough to let us show up fully. It's very important to work with the body, exercises that I do with my clients, because as I said, the subconscious mind talks to us through the body. The good news is that it's possible to make these changes, and I am a prime example, right? So if you'd like to explore your unique situation, I invite you to book a free session with me. Just use the link in the post, and we'll start working together to address your experience with imposter syndrome nicely and gently. There is no way to rush. There is no way to push. There is nothing to force. Or you can stay tuned in to the next video, where I'll again go a little bit deeper into understanding imposter syndrome and what's the process of overcoming it. Because really it is my mission to demystify imposter syndrome and the label of imposter syndrome, so that you as a human being can really show up in your full potential, feeling light, feeling authentic, and feeling like you really want to share from the place of authenticity instead of this forced confidence that we very often try to portray when we struggle with imposter syndrome. So with that, as always, my beautiful friends, I will see you next week. Bye.